Chapter 6, The Introduction of Rick Calloway. After a restless night filled with fragmented dreams and lingering thoughts about the case, Mercer drove back to the precinct. The streets of Ravenport, shrouded in the early morning mist, passed in a blur as his mind spun with theories about Amy's murder and its potential ties to the Veridian Circle. He gripped the steering wheel, his exhaustion only heightening his frustration. Just as he turned onto Main Street, his phone buzzed through the car speakers. Mercer, Evelynn's voice came through, calm but direct. "I need you to come to my office." Mercer's gut twisted. Evelynn never called him into her office unless something big was up. "On my way," he replied, his tone clipped, hiding his growing irritation. By the time he arrived at the precinct, his mind was racing. As he stepped into Evelynn's office, he immediately noticed another figure sitting across from her, a man with a lean build and a sharp gaze. It was Rick Calloway. "Mercer," Evelynn greeted him, motioning for him to take a seat. "This is Rick. He'll be working with you on the Amy Rosen case." Mercer raised an eyebrow, keeping his expression neutral but feeling a surge of resentment rise in his chest. "Since when do I need a babysitter?" Evelynn's eyes narrowed slightly, her tone firm. "It's not about that. You've been pulling at too many threads with this case, threads that are getting tangled in the Veridian Circle. And this case is starting to look personal for you." Mercer's jaw tightened. The mention of the Veridian Circle stung, a reminder of the ghost that still haunted him, his father's disappearance, unsolved and buried under years of whispers. "What are you saying, Evelynn?" His voice was controlled, but his frustration was clear. "I'm saying you need to stay focused," she said, her tone softening, though her gaze remained unwavering. "You're a damn good detective, but if you let your emotions cloud your judgment, we're going to lose sight of justice for Amy. And if you can't keep your head in this, I'll have to pull you off the case." Mercer felt the weight of her words. He didn't respond right away, glancing toward Eric, who watched the exchange quietly but with a knowing look. "I get it," Mercer finally said, though his voice was edged with tension. "But I don't need someone coming in here and second-guessing me. I know what I'm doing." "Do you?" Evelynn's words were sharp now. "Because from where I'm standing, you're chasing ghosts. The Veridian Circle. We've got nothing solid on them. You're risking this entire investigation for a hunch." Rick spoke up for the first time, his tone calm but direct. "I'm not here to babysit, Mercer. I'm here because two sets of eyes are better than one. And because I'm not convinced Lucas is as clean as you seem to think." Mercer shot him a look, but before he could respond, Evelynn cut in. "Rick's going to dive into Amy's background and revisit Lucas. You're still leading the case, but I need you to focus on the bank with Sarah. We need to know if Amy was involved in something deeper than we're seeing, and whether Sarah might be in danger." Mercer leaned back in his chair, tension still thrumming through him. He didn't like the implication that he was losing control, but Evelynn's words echoed in his mind. He couldn't afford to let his personal connection to the Veridian Circle cloud his judgment, no matter how much it gnawed at him. "Fine," he said at last, his voice resigned but firm. "We'll work together. But don't expect me to ignore what I know about the Circle." Evelynn gave him a long, searching look before nodding. "Just stay focused, Mercer. We're here to get justice for Amy, not to chase shadows." Mercer stood to leave, giving Rick a curt nod as he walked out of the office. He could feel the tension coiling in his chest, a mixture of frustration and determination. He didn't trust anyone to dive into his theories about the Veridian Circle, but he also knew that he wouldn't want to get pulled off the case. As much as he hated to admit it, Evelynn was right, he had to play this carefully. But the nagging thought of his father's disappearance wouldn't let go. No matter what Evelynn said, Mercer knew there was something more at play. And he wasn't going to stop until he uncovered the truth, even if it meant crossing lines he shouldn't. As he left Evelynn's office and headed back to his own, Mercer's mind was already working through his next steps. He would keep pushing the investigation at Ravenbank with Sarah, but he couldn't ignore Rick's angle. If there was any doubt about Lucas's involvement, it had to be addressed. But one thing was certain, Mercer wouldn't let anyone, not even Rick, derail his pursuit of the Veridian Circle. The truth about Amy's murder and his father's disappearance were tangled together, and he was the only one who could unravel them.